Okay. Well, thank you very much for being here. Tonight we have as a guest Dr. George Pransky. Dr. George Pransky has a very long experience in the three principles, and he is tonight available to us for question and answer. I have had a few questions sent to me through, well, email and so on. So I'd like to kick off with that, and after that, there's plenty of opportunity for you to ask questions to Mr. George.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
No, I'd love to hear your questions.
Okay. Let's start with the first one. It's a bit small. Let me enlarge this a bit. Can you tell us more about the formless mind? Why would one try to connect with that, and how do you connect with it? That's it.
Well, I was thinking that that question would be above my pay grade, but I'm willing to take a clumsy attempt at answering it. Well, see, there's a world that we can't see that has considerable let me see, considerable information about life. And the world I talk about is the world of intuition, in the world of the power of well-being, and that's a part of life, even though it's not visible. But it's that's even though it's not visible, it's a part of life. So I don't know what to say other than that. So that's why I say the question is a little bit above my pay grade, but I do understand that is an invisible world that we are part of, and that that's what the point I'm trying to make.
Thank you so much, George. There's a second question I have, which is, I hear people who have gone through to a 3P course say, a lot of them say of their teacher, I want some of that. Sorry, this is a bit too small. I've had trouble to read it. Let me enlarge it a bit. Now, let me try again. I hear people who have gone through to a 3P course say of their teacher, I want some of what he or she has, that joyfulness. What would you say to those people?
Well, I would say that, let me see, that life is a full contact sport. That's what I would say. So what that means is that sometimes your you eat the bear, and sometimes the bear eats you. So that's the nature of life. So you know, like George George Pransky, as regards George Pransky, I know that sometimes I'm in the down in the mouth, and then I recover from being in the down on the mouth, and and I feel really good, and that's the nature of life. Is you one minute you're down in the mouth, and the next minute you're on the top of the world. So I think that's the nature of life. It's just, that's how it works. And I mean, even Sydney Banks was down in the mouth now and again, But the thing is, it depends how seriously you take it when you're down in the mouth. So you can make a big deal out of it, or you can just take it in stride. And that's that's the choices that we have. We can make a big deal of it, or we can take it in stride. I mean, like right now, I've got something on my mind that's problematic to me. So I I I do my best not to think about it until I'm ready. But then again, every once in a while, I'm not ready, and it's right there in my face. So that's so I think that's the nature of life, is to surprise us what's going on. I don't know if that answers your question. So if it didn't answer your question, I'll say more. So
Well, Peter, now it was your question.
Okay. Hi, George. My name is Peter Nell, and it was my question. And it was a question that I got from, I basically heard from many other people who went through training courses
right.
of the street principles. And I can just think about, I don't know you, but I know Dickon pretty good, Dickon Bettinger, who I know is one of your people. And when I just think about his face, I just see him light up, that's how he looks. And it's a joyfulness that is inside of him that he takes with him. And I'm sure he's down and out, just like everybody else,
Yeah,
like you and like me, at times. But there's something special about people who really live the principles. And that's what I hear other people tell me. I want some of that. How do I get there? How do I get to that place where I feel that joy inside of me? Like that, because that's awesome. That's where I want to be. So I'm just wondering, from your vast experience, if you have any words of wisdom for those of us who are still learning.
Well, I think I don't think you. It seems to me you already know a lot. So that's what I have to say. It seems to me, because you understand what well-being is. You understand that what moods are. You understand how you can get off track and then come back on track. So you understand the basics of it.
Mhm.
Because I don't know that I'm not I'm not in a good place all the time. So the only thing that I can do is get over my reaction to life, and that's everybody would say that if you can get over your reaction to life, uh, that's what's on in the offering.
Mhm. Okay.
So I think that life is a full combat sport. So I know Sydney Banks, who seemed to have a really enviable life, but he would say that he struggled now and again.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah. No, yeah. I'm glad I could help.
Thanks.
Thank you so much, George. Is there anyone else who has any question prepared or want to hand it? There's a raised hand. Roger, go ahead, please.
Hello, I'm Roger. Hi, George.
Hello.
I was thinking about your answer just now, and thinking about the other side of that, like people who it seems are constantly in a dark place, like having psychosis. I mean, going off from what what you were sharing just now, can that be true? And what could be helpful for people going through those dark periods, which seems endless?
Yeah. Well, we work with people who are in really dark places. We have clients who are troubled. And the first thing that helps them is to realize that that they're not seeing things right, and they can reach out for help. Uh, sometimes people have a hard time reaching out for help, and that's unfortunate, but that's true. So if you have someone and you don't think they can reach out for help, you can offer to help them, but if they're not into it, it's not going to go anywhere. So what we think that we can offer to help people, and then it's up to them to sign up for it. And that's how we do our practice. Because it seems to me that people are capable of having a vision for happiness and well-being. So everybody, I think, has a vision of that, and we all share in that vision. But some people are so down in the mouth that they've lost the memory of that. But it could come to mind anytime, you know. That's the nice thing about life, is you could, you know, like you and me, we've all understand what it's like to be psychologically lost, and then we know how to find our way back to sanity. Some people haven't figured that out yet. It seems simple to us that people are meant to be to have well-being. That's the natural state. So you take young children, they just get a laugh out of life. They're just very joyful, and that's the wonderful thing about young children. They get it.
Can I ask you a question, Roger?
Yes, and I love the children part, because that's kind of what I keep seeing over and over.
Yeah,
Is how that's like the biggest clue to me that we came on this in this world of form knowing what we're sharing.
yes.
It's so obvious in children. Yeah. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who has a question, wants to ask George a question?
Yeah, we can call this part of the presentation stumping the semi-professionals. That's what I would label it. This is called stumping the semi-professional. So that's how I was thinking about it.
Wonderful. There's a question from Linda. Go ahead, Linda.
Yeah. Hello, George. It's so nice to meet you live.
Oh, well, it's
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. And I'm so happy with this book. Life is a metaphor.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love the metaphors. So thank you so much for that. And just as Roger asked the questions, it just jumps in my mind that in English you have the beautiful word of an remind something, and that's for me the back to mind.
Yes.
We don't have the word. Maybe we have to come up with some word that's pointing to the same place. And you know, I didn't have a question yet, but what pumped in my head was just, what is the first thing that comes to mind when you think of Sydney Banks? I was just curious.
I have such fond feelings for him, and so grateful, because I was totally lost in my life before I met Sydney Banks, and then it was just a journey of learning. And it was really delightful. I was one of the first people that got to know him. My wife and I were the two of the first people that got to know him, and then there was the people in Salt Spring were the early in the history. But he called me out and said, I'd love to have lunch with Linda and I. And I didn't know what to make of it, because he asked me what I taught people. And I told him what I taught people, and he said, well, George, don't you think that's going to bum them out when you say that? I said, well, no, because at some point I'm going to tell them that there's an answer, and the answer will solve the problem. And he said, well, when are you going to do that? And I said, I don't know. Right now I all I can do just to get out of my own way. And so that was our first interaction. And he said, well, gee, George, don't you think people are ultimately what they're interested is being happy? And I realized that with all my training as a psychologist, I never even used that word happiness. It wasn't in my vocabulary. So I used the word relief and not learning not to suffer and all that, but I was shocked when he used the word happiness. I thought, wow, that's a hell of a thing. And that was the beginning of our story, And then Linda and I went through a bunch of, mostly me, had a bunch of reactions for our talk with Sid, and then we came to a peaceful place, and that's when I decided we want to learn from him. He's going to be our teacher. So then at that point, we went to Salt Spring and lived on Salt Spring for several months. And that's where we met Roger Mills. So that's our story, and I'm sticking to it.
Thank you so much, George. And it's so delightful when you talk about it. You can see the sparkle in your eyes. So that says enough. Yeah, thank you.
I know, but it really touched me.
Yeah.
When I met Sydney Banks, I really was relieved. I saw him as someone that could speak to the suffering that was happening in the world.
Thank you, Linda, for your question. And that must have been quite a turnaround for you, George. when you had a successful practice in psychology,
Yes.
and at that time, and then you met this welder,
Right.
who didn't have any more teaching than I think seventh grade or eighth grade or ninth grade,
Yeah.
something
Right.
like. How did you feel about that at that stage?
Well, I'll tell you, it was shocking, the fact that I had to start all over and learn about happiness, because all I knew from my psychological training was how to treat unhappiness,
Mm-hmm.
and it turned it up totally upside down. So everything that I wanted to say was the opposite of of what was right.
Mm-hmm.
So Roger Mills and me and Linda, we had to start all over. And at one point, Sid said to us, "Well, you guys are learning so much. I think it's time for you to go out in the world and spread your wings." And I said to Sid, "Well, tell me again what we're learning." He says, "Oh no, you guys know a lot. You know about happiness and well-being." And I said, "Well, then refresh my memory. Just what do we know?" But the thing is, it was so close to us. It was almost instinctive. And he was right. We absolutely knew a lot, but we didn't realize all that we knew. So we were shocked at the state of the world. When we got through talking with Sid, we were shocked at the state of the world. We thought, how did the world end up in that place? And we were shocked at the state of our minds. So on the one hand, we didn't feel like we understood anything, but then again, we realized that that's the way well-being works, is when you don't even know that you have it, is when you have it.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of similarity between the story of the enlightened gardener and what you just told us. Could it be that you've been a model for the stories in the enlightened gardeners?
Well, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, you just told this story and said, oh, "Wait a minute, this is almost a story about the enlightened gardener, where the psychologist is introduced into the principles by this enlightened gardener."
Yes.
And so you've been the model for that, or maybe Roger, and later maybe Linda also.
No, but you are a model of that too. All of you. See, you're examples of people who woken up and they're seeing a new world.
Yeah, and that's what we do. That's true.
That's right.
when I got the first time I got introduced into the principles, it took them a half an hour to explain it to me. And I was feeling as if I was hit by a freight train.
Yeah.
Just overwhelmed me. It's really amazing.
Well, that's what happened to me. And Linda and Roger, we were clueless about what Sid was saying, and yet we understood it in our hearts. But we didn't think we thought we didn't understand it because it's so natural. And Linda and myself and Karen and Erica, it was so natural. What we were learning was so natural, easy, that we discounted it.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying there. It is really very natural and so human, well, embedded almost in us. And once you hear that, you start to understand, wait a minute, what's going on here?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's shocking how close it is. And it's surprising to us. Yeah.
Yeah, and at the same time, so far away when we start thinking.
That's true. That's exactly true.
Yeah. We should teach children to learn to think at school.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, well, thank you. Anyone else? Because before it's going to be all my questions. Anyone else who wants to pose a question? Yes, go ahead, Forrest. Unmute yourself. Thank you.
Hi, George. I have to admit, I just ordered the relationship handbook last week, so I'm a bit late to the party with that, I guess.
Yeah.
It's been a great read, and I don't have any experience with marriage counseling or relational therapy. I was just wondering, in the dynamics in the conversations with couples, like married couples or similar. Would you say does it make any difference if you're doing the counseling as a couple, like you and Linda together, or does it matter in the dynamics in such conversations if you're doing it as a couple with couples or individually with couples? I was just wondering if you could, from experience, tell a little bit about
that. I don't know. It's an interesting question because Linda and I used to do all of our couple counseling together. And then later, we started doing it individually. But I don't know when that changed or why that changed. But we love working together. But then again, we like the fact that we can do it individually as well. Now, do people? I know this is going to be an embarrassing question, but do people understand that that we've written the Secret to Mental Health? Are people aware of that book being out there?
I haven't read it, but aware it exists.
Say it again.
I haven't read it, but I'm aware it exists. I know about it.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah. because that book kind of tells Linda and my story of how we came upon this.
Oh, great. Thanks. Thanks.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Loris. Anyone else who has a question for George?
Again, this is called stumping the semi-professionals. That's what I call this, stumping the semi-professionals.
I'll ask you a question which might be a bit, well, we are Dutch, so we're known, we're very blunt and very direct. You've had some mishaps in your life the last few years or so. How have the three principles helped you during that period? Would you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, okay. I'd be glad about it, talk about that. Well, the mishap, that what you would call it, I had a stroke, and after when I was recovering from the stroke, I realized I'm not going to be able to teach people because my mind is so messed up right now. So I got really freaked out, and I thought, oh my God, what am I going to do with my life? And that lasted maybe, I don't know, 2 or 3 days. And then I said, well, I could be a mailman. I could do that. I could walk around and deliver the mail. And then I said, gee whiz, I could really do anything I wanted. I could, I don't know, be a salesman. So I realized that even though I couldn't speak so good, there were a lot of things that I could do as a human being. Now, the other side of it, and I don't talk about this very much, so maybe be an occasion to talk about it, but the world slowed down because I got easily overwhelmed. And because I was easily overwhelmed, I had to slow down what was going on in my mind. And that turned out to be a tremendous blessing because my pace before I had the stroke was so fast that I really wasn't taking in life so well. So Linda and I had to slow down, and in slowing down, we were much more in touch with life and the nature of life. And one of the ways I talk about it is how long the days are. the days seem endless. And I think that's good, that the days are so endless. So that's what's the stroke, the gift of the stroke was endless days, and Belinda and I got really close. We were much more heartfelt after the stroke than we were before the stroke. So that's how it affected us. But I wouldn't trade the stroke for anything, because it really woke me up. It really woke me up. I didn't realize how much I took it. I took it for granted in my life.
That's a
And that's
beautiful.
that's what changed.
Yeah, that's a beautiful way of looking at it, and I can relate to that. I've had, well, somewhat of a similar experience in the past, and it's turned my life into a better experience. That's beautiful. Yeah. There's another question from Gunmarian Iverson, so I'll give her the floor if she wants to. Go ahead, Gunmarian.
Hello. Nice to see you, George. Long time.
Yeah.
And I decided to click my own here when you say what you say just now, when you slow down your life and come closer to your life.
Yeah.
That was music in my ear. And for a quite long time now, I have had an idea, a wish, I want to speak with, to get a group of people and speak just about this, because I heard so many people say they are so stressed, they have pain here and there because they're running here and there and like that. So, and every time I heard that, I thought, you can slow down. You not need to have it like this. Because when I come across this understanding, my life changed like that.
Right.
And I want that other people should know there is a way out of your stress situation. So but what holding me back is how to start, how to tell, how to, what can I say, how to talk with them about it, about the principles, or use other words in a way which can be understandable for them. If I say 3 principles and blah, 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 I think they think, what's this? So to get connected in a way, where to start when I sit there with a group of people, for example. Do you have any tips for that?
Well, I wanted to say one thing that came to mind, and then I wanted to respond to your question. The thing that came to mind is I couldn't, you see, I was forced to, I was forced to speed up my, I don't know what I'm trying to say. I couldn't handle my mind going so fast. So I had to slow down. But it was it wasn't it was kind of forced on me. So that was a confession that I had to make. But let me respond to what you were asking. See, I think it would be help you to realize that it doesn't matter where you start. If you're a principals, if you want to teach the principals, you can start wherever you want. It's all going to be the same thing. So like when I'm with clients, I realize I can start anywhere. All roads lead to Rome. So the good thing is you don't have to be pressured by thinking that there's a proper starting place, because I don't think there is. I think you just take it where it comes, and then you go from there.
I just remember Linda says once to me that you can, if you start, but also after a short time, to tell about what principles have done for you, what have you seen, and what changed my mind in when I've been on with this understanding. So I have to think about that as well.
Yeah, that's good advice.
Because people struggling about so many things about their life. So I just feel when we know this gold of an understanding, so I feel to give the hope, to give this understanding around to people, so they don't have to struggle. They can see something new, as I did.
Yeah.
That feels right for me. That's my hope to do one day. So thank you very much again, George. Good to see you.
Well, I'm in vocational rehab right now. So I have a teacher who's I meet with a couple of times a week, and I feel like I'm making a lot of progress. So that was a really good thing that I decided to do that vocational rehab. I don't know why I brought that up, but I don't know.
While I was listening to Marion, I realized again how important it is to relearn to listen to people. I often catch myself that I don't listen properly enough.
Yeah, or deep enough.
Deep enough.
Yeah.
And it is so important, and it's something that came up while Marion was talking. It is so important that you learn to listen deeply and try to move your ego aside and try to understand what the other one is really meaning.
Yeah. That is really matters when you do that.
How do you look upon that, George? If you're talking about deep listening, what kind of advice would you give us to master that skill better?
Well, you know what would help is knowing when you don't know. That's the key. There is knowing when you don't know, when you're out of your element, I'd say. That's the key, because that wakes me up to the possibility that I might know what I'm talking about at some point. I mean, it's the same. It's the same with the public. You know, when you go out in the public, you have certain understandings that you can count on, and then from there it's just learning about people and how they see things, and that's one thing about Sydney Banks. He's very high on the curiosity scale. He really knows what he knows. Let me see how to say it. He really knows when he doesn't know. And because of that, he's very high on, he's really very curious about life.
Yeah, because it allows you to keep an open mind and to really try to understand what the other person is talking about, because we have these separate realities, and we cannot look into someone else's head.
That's true.
And I catch myself all the time that I make the same mistake. Oh my God, haven't I learned anything yet?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, you're in good company.
Well, thank you, George. That's some consolation.
Yeah.
I can't compare to you as well. It's wonderful to have had you here. It's already 9 o'clock here in the Netherlands, and
Oh my word!
It flashed by really. Thank you so much for your being here tonight, and I'm trusting that everyone's wonderfully been well, and their questions have been answered, and hopefully this is going to go on. Thank you very much, George.
Oh yeah, it was my pleasure being with you. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for your time.
Okay, you're welcome, and bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.